Welcome, everybody, and welcome to NVision Self. I haven't seen you guys for a week, so now we're back into it. Today's topic is going to be, in some words, a little bit controversial to some people, and some people it may hurt their feelings, or to some people it may make them better. I know that's something for myself. Whenever I get into this topic, or whenever I'm making myself better, sometimes I was on the defensive. So what we want to talk about today is how to better yourself as a parent, as a person, as a teacher, okay? Because it is NVision Self, right? Where do you envision yourself? How do you envision yourself, and how do we become better from it? So what we want to talk about, especially how to become a better parent or a better teacher, is how do theories stack up to practice? Because a lot of the times when I see many people talk, or even in the center of businesses, they talk about, well, in theory, well, I think, well, you should. Okay, that's crap, guys. Theories are great, but what I need to see some real life examples, real life things that are happening. When a business owner or when a parent, or somebody who's trying to teach you goes, well, I think you should. No, if you're teaching, you don't think. Tell me what it is. That's what being a teacher is. Because from your experience, you should know, right? Now, I think you should. Maybe this is the problem. Well, if you're the person that I look up to, I'm looking for, what's the proper word? I'm looking for you to be 100% sure. I'm looking for assurance. I'm looking for confidence, right? So where does that start? How can I even say theories and application? I know, and you need to take a look at martial arts of its own. Being in a position where I teach martial arts, it gives you a unique view on certain things. And one of those views is this. You hear a lot of stuff, which martial arts is better? And a lot of interviewers asking, is it jiu-jitsu, is it taekwondo, is it karate, is it Muay Thai? To a true martial art practitioner, there is no best martial arts. They're all practical. However, at the moment, jiu-jitsu is the one that's taking the lead because it's considered the most practical, the most used. So everybody's crowned the king of martial arts. And this is where our theory versus practice takes root. The reason why jiu-jitsu is on the forefront is because there is a lot more real-life application inside the school, inside the actual facility. Because when you roll with somebody, when you're on a mat, you're able to actually perform the techniques over and over and over and over with another person. The only difference from the real life is when they tap, you stop. In real life, somebody's tapping, you're probably going to pull, that shoulder out of the socket, depending on how afraid for your life you are, how much you're defending yourself. So what you have is this real practice. You can't really do that with karate. You can't really do that, and especially in the United States, you can't really do that with taekwondo. You can't really do that with karate or Muay Thai. You don't exactly get into the ring and pound each other because everybody's got to go to work the next day. Boxing is another very practical use of martial arts because they get in the ring with gloves, and what's happening is they're throwing those punches, and there is a real threat of being punched in the head and suffering, a minor concussion, as they call it. So you move, you get that real feeling. So if something happens outside, your body is used to it. Now, of course, you have your sparring in the taekwondo and the karate classes. You have full gear and you're moving around, but it's usually tapping or point sparring or things like that. Very few schools go all out, and I don't recommend for anybody who's a martial art instructor to say, all right, guys, do first blood, go. So that's not very good. So this is what you're looking at. You're looking from the term of a parent with the idea of martial arts. You're looking at something that's in practice and something that's in theory, because what happens is when you don't add that element of sparring or element of kicks flying at you or punches flying at you, all you have is a bunch of theories and a bunch of moves that you do on a bag or you do them on gloves or pads or pork chop pads, but you have no idea how to implement it. And this is why you have instructors who are in their late 30s or instructors who are in their 50s or 60s. They're a little bit more aggressive when they come out on the backs. They kick a little differently, or when they demonstrate. Because when we used to spar, when you used to come in, there was that practice. So with that said, let's move on. How do we become better teachers and better parents, for example? So one of the things that we're going to look at right now, and it's going to be for kids that are, going into 3-year-olds and up. And for every age bracket, 3 to 5 is one thing, 5 to 8 is another thing, 9 to 12 is a different thing. But I want to touch up on what I believe is the issue a lot of the parents bring up to me as an instructor, as a teacher, and I hear from a lot of parents is gadgets. Right over here, okay? The phones, or these phones or tablets, and how do the kids spend the times on them, and what can we do as a parent? So before you even ask, or before you question this, yes, my kids are also on devices, and yes, me and my wife have this discussion about how do we limit their time, or do we limit their time, or why should we or why should we not? I'll be the first one to tell you, is it okay for a child at any age to sit on a computer or an Xbox or PlayStation all day? No, it's not okay. Is it going to happen sometimes? Yes. And is it fine? Yes, it's fine. Sometimes it's just going to happen, and that is A-okay. I'm perfectly fine with that. However, it's very hard for a parent that have never picked up a video game and has never been in the culture and has never played. It's very hard for that parent to understand the emotion and the connection that their child has with what they're doing. So it's very tough for you to actually, in practice, come in and go stop playing it. You have no context. None. You don't understand that it's very tough for a 6 or a 7 or a 5-year-old to put that away. It's even tougher for a 12-year-old, depending how engrossed they are. Now, we're going to take a concept for somebody who's a gamer like myself. Is it tough for me too, for example, to tell myself stop playing? It is, because at a certain point, I had to learn how to step away and break away from that to do whatever else I want, go to the gym, spend some time with the family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're a gamer, and understand that it is not in the best interest of your child to spend their time on the devices all the time. So if you want to teach your child, you have to practice it too on both ends, from an aspect of a gamer and from the aspect of somebody that can step away and break away from that. And this is, again, we're looking at theories and practice, because all I hear is these doctors and these speakers are talking about a child should only spend 2-3 hours on a game. We did what research, man? That's average. Stop. There should be common sense. Yes, 5 hours on a pad is too long. You don't need to do these ridiculous studies. You want to do studies? Do it with something else. We already know that it's damaging. Give us solutions. And I'm not talking about take your child outside. All right. Video game outside. What's in the middle? This is the part that's the most important, because if you rip the child out of the environment that they're in, what happens? There's an entire segment of what happens. It's resentment, anger, sadness, not understanding. And what happens when they're older? You were telling me you're going to pull a 16-year-old out that easy? That doesn't work anymore, because you're not strong as a 15, 16-year-old, and now you have physical confrontations, right? So as a speaker, as somebody who's a doctor, don't give me that part of the solution. That's the end result. It's kind of like there's a meme on the internet that says, step 1, open a business. Step 2, blank. Step 3, profit. That's what you're giving me. You're giving me step 1 and 3. Step 2, it's like, you turn off. And I tell you why, because most of you are not gamers. And most of you, if you are, you've never stepped away from it and then come back in. You need to have that, once again, theories and actual practice. So how do we do this middle part as teachers? And that goes to anything, guys. That'll go with any kind of lesson, any kind of business, anything. And the reason why I'm bringing kids is because I think it is a hot topic currently, because the gaming industry is not stopping. The gaming industry is designed to suck you in with graphics, with more colors, with interesting things that are going on. I listened to a lecture not too long ago, and it was talking about how kids need to have a little bit of danger in their life, and that's how they learn. I agree. What I think needs to add is kids need a little bit more street smarts. And when I was growing up in the 80s, we played outside, so you learned the street smarts. The only places we play outside now in that kind of community is in the areas that are not the best. And if you notice, most of successful people come from areas that are not the best because they do have street smarts. They have common sense. They're not just book smarts. They're street smarts. And that is taught from being outside and playing and moving around. So yes, our kids need to be out there moving around, but where? Most of us live in the neighborhood. Where are they going to play? The cul-de-sac? They can't walk to a playground. There's no longer things like that. You have to drive and then you sit there and there's just a lot of parts. So how do we as parents understand that? Well, one, we as parents have to be active ourselves. We have to offer a little bit of danger to the kids, be it around the house, anywhere, like play hide and seeks and hide for a while. Let your child stress out for a little bit that they can't find you. Okay? Now the tough part. So your little one is sitting in front of a video game. And for a lot of the parents, well, my child, I limit it to only this time of day. Don't limit it. Like, you're limiting it to them right now. When they're old enough, now they're constantly going to play by your rules. Well, it's not your life, it's theirs. They have to understand themselves well to break away. That is something that we are going through with my son right now because he picked up a close enough game to Minecraft and he's enjoying it. So how do you break him away? It was a great thing. Me and my wife worked as a team. It was this weekend. My son came up and he said to me, it was a quiet morning. I was on a computer, playing my game. He was next to me playing his game. And me and my wife, we have an understanding when both of us now at the same time go, we really need to go outside. This is, 9:30 in the morning. We need to go outside. We need to go for a hike. We need to ride around, especially with the weather kind of looking down. It's going to thunderstorm. My wife immediately looks at me going, this is your area, figure it out. So parents, for those of you who are gamers, how do we break away? How do we break the child away from that thing? Well, I look at my son and I go, hey, what are you doing right now? Like in the game, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm building this house. And I go, well, how much more do you have to build? If he tells me he has 40 more minutes, that doesn't work for me. So I have to find a compromise. So I look at him and I go, where are you at? He told me he's building a house, middle of it. And I look at him and go, hey, listen, I'm in the middle of something too. So here's what I'm going to do. I can stop what I'm doing. And I know you can stop what you're doing. And it's not going to go anywhere because it's going to rain. And then we will not to go play outside together. I want to make sure I get to spend some time with you guys. He looks at me and goes, okay, great. Let's do it. He turns it off. I turn my game off. We get up, we get dressed, we go. My daughter doesn't have as much interest in video games, so my wife kind of picks up over there. Hey, go away and put away your toys. She'll play with her. She's like, now we're going to hide, put all these away and we'll come back and play later on. You start teaching those techniques because at the base level, as you keep doing this and you're doing this and you're doing this, eventually your children, when they're older, will go, I'm spending too much time. I need to put this away. I need to go. I need to hang out. I need to go do other things. Is it a long process? Yes, it is a long process because everything that is set up right now is set up for this new generation. Everything is in bright colors. Everything is moving. Everything is happening this quick. There's been research where kids right now can multitask. And I know some of you read that book, Myth of Multitasking. Burn the book. Burn the book. Kids right now can multitask a lot more versus us because we didn't have all of these things happening at the same time. So what you need to do, you need to present your child with the same thing they have in the game. I'm not talking about like building blocks or things like that. When you're outside, you're moving, you're running, they're engaged, because all the kids are wired close to the same way when they hit outside. They hit the ground running. So you need to be moving. If you need to get a bike, get a bike. If you need to get a scooter, better get good at it. Move around with them. And they're going to fall sometimes. It's okay. Like create that sort of a little bit of danger for them. But the biggest thing what you can't do and goes, well, mommy or daddy never played games. You're playing games is dumb. No. That doesn't work that way. Imagine if you are right now as an adult and you're doing something you enjoy, whatever your hobby is, which, by the way, some adults get a hobby, like really get a hobby, okay? You need to get an outlet. But if you're doing your hobby and somebody comes up to you and goes, stop doing that, that's stupid, because they've never done it, you're going to have an issue. You're definitely going to have an issue. They may turn around and they can tell you off if they're nice. And if you get into the argument, you may get a kick to the throat if the person can do that. So why is being with kids any different? Stop using theories from people that you hear and start asking actual people that can teach, that have been into it. Don't just go, oh, that's a gamer. Well, that gamer may know how to engage and disengage. I believe right now this is one of the hottest topics because, as I said previous, the companies are not stopping. We're not going to see an end to PlayStation. We're not going to see an end to Xbox. We're not going to see an end to Nintendo or the computer market, gaming PCs. We might have different names over the years, but it's going to be there. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. At what point do you think they're going to stop? Why? We're in a capitalist society. It will never stop. So what do we need to do? We're humans, right? Adjust, move, and then do better, right? Adapt and improvise. And if some of you go, well, I don't even want to touch games, well, then find a partner who can. Find a friend who can teach your child about that particular part, how to teach and engage. You cannot understand what it is because you've never done it. And if you've never done it, at what point do you have any right to have a say in it? Have you done, it's not like doing research for a medical study, where you can come in and the research is plastered everywhere and you could look at the doctors and you studied and you studied and you studied. You have to live it. What are you going to do? A study on video games? You actually have to be in it. Medical study, you could try on yourself. During the video game study, you're not good at it. You still got to do it to yourself. You still got to try it. If you have questions about things like this, you feel free, don't hesitate to contact us. We can have a talk. I can come out, have a talk to parents. Because remember, never look at what's happening today or tomorrow to your child, especially those who are 4, 5, 6 years old. Always look at what's going to be when they're 15, 16, when they go off to school and they're going to be on their own. That's when it's going to matter the most. Are you going to have sleepless nights because you're worried? Or are you going to be fine? That's the most important part. And I'm not advocating on letting your kids sit on the video games or in front of a TV. No, of course not. As I said in the beginning of my talk, they should only watch 1 hour, 2 hours. What? Where are these numbers coming from? Like, we studied 300 people. Okay. And you're giving me an average. On average, I don't care about average because every person is different. As a parent, you should understand that, okay, they're 2 years old, 15, 20 minutes, you should be fine. Let's go be a kid, run around, break something. If they're 5 or 6, all right, well, they're different kids, fine, an hour, that's good. Let's give you a break, let's go outside, let's run around. Remember, when they get to school, there are going to be other kids. Peer pressure. Now, if your child doesn't like the games, doesn't like the gadgets, great. You should still introduce, and that way your child knows what's going on so they can make that intelligent decision later on. But don't just take things away. And once again, stop reading theory stuff. Start using it in practice. Or have a partner who also does it like that. In the ending of it all, I want to say this. And this goes to teachers, parents, business owners. Stop theorizing. Get in there, roll up your sleeves, and see for yourself so you can make an educated decision. If you don't want to roll up your sleeve, at least do some research and then roll up your sleeves just a little bit. You're still going to have to work. You're still going to have to get your hands dirty, boo-boo. It's okay. In Russian, we say you're not made of gold. It's fine. Then make a decision. Theory is all fun and games, but nothing will ever beat practice. Nothing. It's kind of like with teachers. Do you want your child to be in a class with a teacher who got all of these bachelor, all of these degrees, doctorates, everything like that, and has 3 years of teaching? Or do you want somebody who has no formal education, but has over 15 years or 10 years of working with children and making them successful? Who do you think is going to be more impactful to your child? Somebody who's going to theorize, or somebody who's in practice has been getting better and seeing the trial and error? It doesn't mean don't give this person a chance, but also don't discard this person. Any business, any good business understands this. Experience trumps over anything. So with that said, guys, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, I know this is going to be one of those heated topics. Please don't hesitate. Just keep it civil in the comments down below. Feel free to contact us or contact me, and we can have a discussion. Other than that, guys, I hope everybody's training hard, and we'll see everybody moving on the mats.